Picture this, a former US president not talking policy, not discussing leadership, but tweeting through the night, declaring himself the Tariff King. It sounds outrageous, but that's just the start. What if I told you the same man who promised to protect Iranian protesters from the Ayatollah is now publicly praising the very regime he once condemned? The same man who once threatened military action to defend those protesters is now thanking the Ayatollah for canceling hangings. Is this the same person, or has something far more troubling taken root? This isn't just political theater. This is dangerous. The lines between friend and foe are blurring, and Trump's actions are making the world's biggest power plays harder to predict. Why is this happening? What's really behind this shift? Stick around. This story isn't what it seems. This isn't an isolated moment. It's part of a much bigger pattern. A former president whose foreign policy once hinged on a harsh stance against Iran, now suddenly praising the very leadership he swore to challenge. It's more than just a flip-flop. It's a complete 180-degree shift. So why does this matter to you? Because it signals a deeper, more troubling shift in how the world views the United States and the president who once led it. Remember when Trump promised the Iranian people he would have their backs? He said the U.S. would stand with them if the regime harmed even a single protester. And now this? What changed? But here's the question nobody's asking. Is this an isolated case of Trump's chaotic foreign policy? Or does this signal something darker, a broader strategy that could reshape alliances on the global stage? Stick with me. The truth is far more unsettling than we're letting on. Here's the hard truth. Trump's words don't match his actions, and that's where the real danger lies. Just listen to this. He's now openly thanking the Ayatollah for halting over 800 planned executions. Yes, you heard that right. The same man who vowed to strike if Iran killed protesters is now congratulating the regime for their restraint. Now, pause and think about this. It's not just about the optics, it's about the reality. What does it mean when a world leader shifts so dramatically in public? It means nothing is as it seems. Words are cheap, but actions are what shape history. Notice what's missing here. Trump isn't condemning the Ayatollah's regime. He's not standing up for the people he once promised to protect. Instead, he's thanking them. Why? What's really going on behind the scenes? But here's where things get even more disturbing. This isn't just a minor policy change. It's part of a growing pattern that we've seen before, a normalization of behaviors that should never be normalized. Trump's reversal on Iran is one thing, but what about the bigger picture? Think back to when the U.S. engaged in military conflicts in the Middle East. The rhetoric was always about defending democracy, standing up for human rights. Now, we see a president celebrating the cancellation of executions while turning a blind eye to the mass slaughter of protesters. This isn't just a shift in foreign policy, it's a sign of something larger happening on the global stage. And here's the real kicker. Trump's lack of accountability and consistency is becoming the new normal. Leaders worldwide are watching, and they're asking themselves, if Trump can change his stance this drastically, what's to stop us from doing the same? What happens when the lines between right and wrong blur for good? Now, it gets worse. Trump isn't just backing off his promises, he's actively making deals that undermine the very principles he once claimed to defend. Take the recent pardons, for example. Trump pardoned multiple individuals involved in serious crimes, a banker tied to a bribery scheme, a woman convicted of selling counterfeit energy drinks, even a former governor embroiled in a bribery scandal. But here's the real twist. These pardons weren't just random acts of mercy, they were strategic. One of the people pardoned is a banker whose daughter donated $3.5 million to Trump's PAC. Does that sound like a coincidence to you, or is it another layer of corruption hidden in plain sight? This isn't about justice. This isn't even about the rule of law. It's about leveraging power for personal gain, and it's happening right in front of us. And here's the punchline. Trump, the man who once claimed to be a champion of the people, is now using the system to protect the very people who have helped him line his pockets. Notice what this means. When the leader of a nation starts using the pardon power like this, it signals the collapse of accountability. And once accountability goes, what happens to everything else? The problem isn't just one bad decision, it's a stack of them. It's the fact that Trump's actions are snowballing into a full-blown crisis. First, we have the pardons, then the bizarre praise of the Ayatollah, and now this. The government pushing a ridiculous, tone-deaf plan to fight inflation with a single chicken breast, a piece of broccoli, and a corn tortilla. And let's not forget the ongoing foreign policy mess. Trump's ties to authoritarian regimes like Venezuela are only deepening, with key players in his administration like CIA Director John Ratcliffe meeting with Venezuela's brutal leader Nicolas Maduro. Meanwhile, Trump's business interests in the region are conveniently intertwined with these political deals. So what happens if this continues? If we normalize leaders praising brutal regimes, if corruption seeps into every level of government, if policy becomes a joke, what's left? We can't afford to wait and see. This isn't a political game. It's a serious threat to the very foundation of what America stands for. Now, let's take a step back, because this isn't just about Trump or even about politics. This is about you. This is about the everyday people whose lives are being shaped by these decisions. When Trump praises the Ayatollah for halting executions, it's not just a distant foreign policy matter. It's a signal that the value of human life has become negotiable. When the president promotes a meal plan designed to combat inflation that barely covers the cost of a meal, what's he really saying to the American people? And then there's the question of justice. When people convicted of fraud, bribery, and corruption are pardoned, what message does that send to the millions of Americans struggling to make ends meet? They're seeing a system where power and money can buy freedom while the rest of the country is left to pick up the pieces. If this resonates with you, if it feels like we're losing something essential, drop a comment and share your thoughts. You're not alone in wondering how we got here and what happens next. This isn't just about one person. This is about a system that allows this to happen. The reality is that Trump's actions are only possible because of the way power works in the U.S. and globally. It's about leverage, how certain people, no matter how corrupt, seem to have access to the levers of power while the rest of us are left with crumbs. Think about it. We've seen this play out before, from foreign leaders who manipulate the system to line their own pockets, to politicians who make deals behind closed doors. This is how power works. It thrives on spectacle, fear, and the manipulation of the media. The more outrage we feel, the more likely we are to miss the bigger picture. What Trump has done here by praising authoritarian regimes and rewarding corruption is shine a light on the very mechanism that enables this behavior. And it's a chilling thought. What happens when this system becomes the norm? When the lines between right and wrong are so blurred that no one even notices? So where do we go from here? There are two paths ahead. The first is a world where this continues. More pardons, more backroom deals, more praise for brutal regimes. The system becomes further entrenched, where actions like these are just another day in politics. It becomes harder and harder to distinguish between right and wrong. Trust in the government erodes, and what remains is a shell of what democracy was meant to be. But there's another path, a path where people start to demand accountability, where citizens rise up against the normalization of corruption and start holding their leaders accountable, where foreign policy, justice, and the economy are no longer treated like tools for personal gain, but as things that affect real people, people like you. The future isn't set, it's in motion. And the next move? It's already starting to form. The question is, who will step up and what will they do about it? Here's the deeper truth we've avoided. What's happening right now isn't just about one man or one administration. It's about the erosion of what we hold dear. The actions, the contradictions, the deals. They're all pieces of a much larger puzzle. And if we don't pay attention, if we don't demand change, we'll find ourselves in a world where corruption and manipulation are the new normal. It's up to us to decide where this goes next. But the window is closing fast. The system, as it stands, is fragile. And if we're not careful, we could lose something we might never get back. So stay tuned. This story isn't over. And the next chapter, it's just beginning. Be sure to follow for more, because what happens next might just define the future.